If you've ever taken a few days off or done dry January or sworn off alcohol after a rough night, only to find yourself back at it a week or two later because, quote, my drinking isn't that bad, this episode is for you.
Welcome to Sober and Lit,
the podcast for women who want to get sober, stay sober, and live a life that's way more lit than it ever was with wine.
We're your hosts, Ruby and Susan, two alcohol freedom coaches keeping it real with stories, tools, and zero judgment.
Whether you're sober curious or all in, you're in the right place.
Let's feel lit, alcohol free.
Welcome back to the Sober and Lit podcast. I'm Coach
Hello.
Susan, and Coach Ruby's here, and we are so excited that you're here with us, our regular listeners. We love you so much, and we're so grateful that you listen to our podcast, our little old podcast, which actually has been nominated for Best Podcast by Sandsbar, and we would love it so much if you would vote for us for Best Podcast. That would be amazing. Voting ends soon. So we'll put a link in the show notes to have you vote. I think it might even end by beginning of April, and today's March 31st. So if you could vote today, if you haven't voted already.
Thank you for voting. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. If you've already voted for us, thank you. Thank you. So today we want to talk about one of the most common thoughts, especially for gray area drinkers, that pulls people right back into drinking after a break. And that thought is, my drinking isn't that bad. Because this thought seems harmless and maybe even logical, but it's incredibly powerful. Because here's what usually happens. You stop drinking for a bit because maybe you're feeling sluggish, or you had a particularly really bad experience, where you drank too much and stumbled on the way home, or embarrassed yourself, and you're just like, forget it. Or you notice that, your sleep is off. All the, things we notice around how alcohol is affecting our lives in a negative way. So you take a break. Maybe you did dry January, and here we are at the end of March. And, maybe along the way, you started to think, my drinking's not that bad, because, at first you start feeling really good. Your anxiety goes down. You feel proud of yourself. But then your brain starts negotiating with thoughts like, well, if you could take 30 days off in January, see, I'm fine. This happened to me all the time. I would do dry January regularly. I would do it Lent, give up alcohol for Lent for 40 days to prove to myself that I could do it, that I didn't have a quote unquote problem, that my drinking wasn't that bad. How about you, Ruby? Did you ever have that thought?
Absolutely. And I see it as I was comparing to others. Like,
yes.
There was always somebody, right, that drinks more. There's always, or you can look at the bum on the street or something. I was always like, I'm not that bad. My drinking,
right.
I'm not, destitute. I'm not in jail. I'm not the one outside the liquor store with the paper bag. But why would I ever want to get there? That to see. So, but yeah, it's really, for me, it was a lot about comparing, and absolutely, I wanted to reset. I remember that was like my thing, I'll just try 30 days and that'll reset so that I could go back to drinking just one or two occasionally. Well, we know that, that's another show, but definitely I had that thought, Susan. Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. And I think for me, and when I work with clients, sometimes there's something deeper. Like for all of 2019, when I was taking breaks from alcohol, I was telling myself that I wanted to be alcohol free. That's what I was telling myself. But I kept going back to drinking because deep inside there, I had a lot of shame around my drinking. And I worried, what did me needing to stop drinking mean about me? And did that mean that I wasn't normal?
Right.
It was really a big deal for me. And we talk about this in episode 13, where we talk about, can I get back to being a normal drinker? So if that's a question that you have, you can go back and listen to episode 13. But in this episode, I just really want to talk about, aspects about our drinking substance, society, and self. And this is a big self thing. And I find working with women where they do have a lot of shame around their drinking, or they have family members or parents that were alcoholics. And this underlying self aspect where if I need to quit drinking, that means I'm like them. Or it's like keeping drinking in my life means I'm not like them. And so you keep alcohol in your life to show that you're normal, even though you're having negative consequences around it. Not maybe huge negative consequences, and gray area drinkers, don't see these dramatic consequences, like you said. We can compare ourselves to extreme cases. I didn't ever drink in the morning, except for at brunch, but not like first thing in the morning. I'd never really gotten in trouble. I'd never gotten a DUI, right? It's like kind of we're waiting for this big consequence to tell us we have to stop. I felt like I didn't have a burning platform. That's what I used to say, especially when early days when I went to AA and people are talking about, they're like, oh, Susan, if I had a drink, the next thing you know, I'd be laying in the gutter with a needle in my arm. And I'm like, no, that's not me. I was just looking around like, where are the people that just drink a little too much white wine, But I just think we're asking the wrong questions. And I would say that thought that leads us back to drinking, my drinking isn't that bad, is the wrong thought. It's a tricky thought. It's a permission-giving thought. I always say if the thought leads to drinking, then it's a permission-giving thought, right? To get you back to drinking. But what if that's not the right question to ask? Is it bad enough?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like, we had Anna on earlier this year, and that is the question was, what are you thirsty for? And it's not about, you have to wait for it to be that bad. Exactly. But what are you thirsty for? Are you feeling okay? Is maybe the alcohol, you really want, is life good enough? Or is it, are you just barely hanging on? Or do you want to play big in your life? These are some of the better questions. I love that. Ask better questions, right?
Ask a better question, but also understand, like when I work with someone who has that deep self belief that it means something about them, it's that meaning making. Like if we decided to give up dairy, there's not a whole lot of meaning making around that. Like nobody cares if you don't eat cheese, right? I mean, it's too bad for you if you don't eat cheese.
Maybe some people would care, no?
Well, I know. I mean, yes, but you're not making any of this great meaning about you. And it's because of the stigma around alcohol. And I think, though, in the last almost 6 years that I've been alcohol free now, things are changing around that. And we're changing because people are, rather than being in the shadows and being anonymous about deciding to stop drinking, we're out there talking about it and normalizing it because it is normal. It's a substance problem, not a people problem. And so you are normal. Your brain is acting normally in response to an addictive substance. So it doesn't have to be that bad. If you had a slight gluten allergy, would you feel better if you didn't ever eat gluten? Yeah. But do you have to wait till it gets really bad? Do you have, you know what I mean? To decide to.
And why wait? I really don't like it. We're kind of dancing around the rock bottom, phrase, really. I love that the alcohol-free movement is taking off and that we are normalizing it, and that I think we don't have to wait for those drastic things to happen any longer. You just want to feel better. Like, do you want to feel better? I love that. Like, are you not sleeping well? Are you waking up in the mornings feeling a little hungover? Even if it's just a little hungover, why not wake up fully rested and ready for the day, to seize the day? That's how it feels alcohol free.
And if you're not sure if it's bad enough, just take a break. If you've never taken a break, if you're really wondering, but the real question is it working for you? Or is it good enough? Yeah. Is it aligned with the life that you want? And really asking yourself, do I feel better with or without it? Like I knew I felt better without it. Absolutely. Even when I was in AA and I was really angry all the time because I didn't know any of this information and I really did feel a lot of shame. And I knew I felt better in my life. Every aspect of my life was better if I didn't drink. I just was struggling with the shame of feeling like now I wasn't normal. And that came from AA. They talk about being a normie. Like, oh, they're a normie. They can drink. And I'm like, that just bothered me so much.
Everybody's on a spectrum now, right?
Yeah.
So even the normies and normal drinkers, they totally can flip to become addicted quite easily, actually. And, you're right. From AA, I did not want to call myself an alcoholic. That shame. So that kept me stuck in the loop longer and longer because I don't, I'm normal, right? I have this high powered job, a corporate job and friends, and things look okay on the outside, but in the inside, I had that deep shame that I knew. Well, I only knew that term back then.
Yeah.
I knew I was an alcoholic, honestly. Oh, that feels hard to say, but I don't believe in labels anymore. I just don't in that way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, and for gray area drinkers, you just don't identify with that at all. So that can make it more difficult to take some steps towards either exploring your drinking, taking a break, or deciding to live an alcohol-free lifestyle if that is what is best for you. You know, in my Freedom Formula program, at the end, I have a module around moderation because some people feel, and maybe they're on the spectrum in a place where they feel like they can moderate. And actually, you need to try that out if that's something that's something you're curious about. For sure, I'm not there to tell you what to do or not to do. Most of the time when I work with people, though, they've already tried moderation. And I had to be honest with myself where that's exactly what I did, from 2014 to 2019 when I took another big break. And then 2019 was me exploring that, for a full year. Before then, I decided to completely go alcohol free, which was true liberation, and we could do, we've done episodes on moderation. We have 2 episodes on moderation because it's a big deal. People really do, for whatever their own personal reasons, want to keep alcohol in their life. And that's okay too, but I think, if you've taken a break and you feel better and your thoughts are going towards, I guess my drinking wasn't that bad, maybe some questions you can ask yourself are, think back on what made you want to take a break in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel physically and emotionally without alcohol? Where are you still placing a value on alcohol? Right? What are you hoping alcohol will give you? And, are there other ways to meet those needs that aren't alcohol, right? But not in a real, and, of course, not in a shaming way. That is so what we're not about, but just in a curious, compassionate way.
I love this.
Yeah. So maybe the question is, would my life be better with less alcohol in it? And then go about exploring that. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of my journey when you mentioned take a break, the first time I took a break, I tried a dry January back in 2019 and I did get 30 days, but that was really good information. I wasn't able to get the full 30 days, but I got about 14 days in a row, and that was like, okay, I felt so much better. So if you can lean into how do you feel alcohol free when you do get short amount of time, whatever amount of time you can get, how do you start to feel? Because your body starts to feel better. Your mood improves. Even within 2 weeks, you might be sleeping better. So lean into that too.
Yeah. Notice, do you feel sluggish the next day after drinking? And if you have, if you are a high achieving woman or just a get her done gal, like we are, like a lot of the women that I work with, like starting off your day feeling like crap doesn't help you, go and achieve. It really doesn't. I know we're really good at pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. I did it for years and, suit up and show up and get her done. But man, you just get so much more done and it feels so much better when you don't feel like crap, when you're not a little bit hungover. And sometimes we don't even know how bad we were feeling until we have an opportunity to feel better.
Right. Or we blame it on like, oh, it's my aging or my hormones, or I must be perimenopausal. So that's why I'm waking up, or I'm forgetting things because I'm aging. Oh my gosh. Now I remember things and
yes,
I just wake up feeling better. I mean, Susan, to be honest, we talk about we wake up feeling better, but honestly, some days life is lifey, as we say. Like, yeah, some days I do wake up not feeling great, or, with this time change right now that we just had, I'm waking up not as chipper as I was before the time change, but I'll adjust. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know if you notice though. So sometimes that becomes the norm. Like if you've taken an extended break, I remember being about 9 months alcohol free, maybe even more. Yeah, about 9 months when we got the first COVID vaccination. When I had all the symptoms of feeling like terrible. And I remember waking up and going, oh my gosh, this is what I used to feel like when I was hungover. I used to do this to myself like every week. Every Friday night, I would drink too much and then Saturday morning wake up feeling like this. It was really interesting because it'd been a while since I felt like that. And then like feeling it, I was just like, oh my gosh. I can't believe I used to do this to myself on every week practically,
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, once you get away from it, you're just like, whoa, Yeah, when people tell me they don't have any negative repercussions from regular drinking, I just am like, well, you haven't taken a break yet. You don't really know what your body feels like
Right.
without alcohol in it. Because if you are drinking, even if you're a gray area drinker and you drink only on the weekends, which I managed to do for quite a long time, only Friday or Saturday, maybe Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you are never actually ever getting alcohol completely out of your system. Because
Exactly.
that Monday through Wednesday of not drinking, even Sunday through Thursday of not drinking, doesn't give you enough time to get all the alcohol out of your system, and then you drink again. So,
Yeah, even if you drink just one night a week, you're always in the detox retox cycle where you're just you're never, quite away from that. It just is not completely out of your system.
yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Susan.
Yeah. And it is telling if you take a break and it's really hard. It just shows you where a habit has been formed, or you take a break and you aren't able to do the full 30 days or however long you were intending to take a break. But no shame in that. Like you said, you just learn. You go, oh, okay, I'm using alcohol more for a coping mechanism than I realized. I got really stressed out and decided to drink. Socially, it's, something that I feel like I need or want socially or whatever the episode was of your drinking is just clues and information and data is what we like to say. And I mean, honestly, every single woman I work with, I would say every single one has a data point. I don't think I start working with somebody and then they just go, woo, I'm taking a break and I'm fully able to do it. No. So I think sometimes people are afraid to work with a coach or afraid to book a discovery call, or I call them a alcohol freedom call, because they think that means they need to stop drinking and never drink again. And that is so not true, right, Ruby?
Right. Yeah. It's very gentle, a lot of self-compassion. I mean, we both do this like really, it's like not AA, right? This is exploring.
This is
I love that,
exploring,
Susan.
understanding what your habit cycle looks like, understanding what your drinking cues are. And the data points help identify those things. And sometimes they identify those deep self things too that we can explore. And that's what coaching is about, is helping you dig and uncover some of those things that are keeping you stuck, especially if you're frustrated and you have taken breaks and then you keep going back to drinking. Is then there's something deeper there that to discover. And sometimes I work with women for a long period of time. And sometimes I work with women around 8 sessions and they've taken off.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean, I think a lot of people have a meaning making in their mind, even about exploring their drinking with a coach, like how long is this going to be? What is it going to be about? I have to stop drinking. I have to, what it's going to be about. And we are co-creating together.
Exactly.
It's about your goals. And if your goal is to moderate, I will set you up for success in that area as much as I can. I just finished recording 2 videos for my course around moderation, because I think it's important to understand why it's so hard and things you need to know if you want to try it and see if it would work for you. So, and we're not against that, Well, so even if you're wondering if you are a gray area drinker, book a call with me, and because I have 10 questions that we go over to kind of shed some light in this area. So yeah, there's no obligation to explore what coaching might look like and what the options are. So you can book a call at SusanLarkinCoaching.com. So Ruby, this is our favorite part of the program and our listeners' favorite, where they get all their tips about feeling lit. And I think that you have better tips than me, honestly. You always have such good ones.
I would say you have better tips. No, I must have learned something. Yeah, I was thinking about this.
Yeah. What are you doing, Ruby Williams, to feel lit?
Lit. You know what? I think this is a fun one. And I've been really like intentionally doing this lately. It's so fun. Is wherever I'm out in the world, I really want to bring other people like a smile on their face. And how I've been doing this is, especially when they have like name tags, you know, like the grocery store, you know, cashier or the gas station attendant. Those are the two places actually that I mostly go where or the baristas, right? If you're at like Starbucks or something and they've got their little name tag, and I'll totally like call them by their name, like, hey, you know, Stephanie. Yeah. And then I come up with a really nice question. Just, it could even be as simple as how's your day going today? But like when I go to the gas station and I'm getting my lottery tickets, I play the lottery. It gives me joy and hope just to like, maybe I'll win. I know it's like really it's far-fetched, but it still gives me that little jolt of fun. And I always am like, yeah, okay. So Manuel, I see you. And if I win, I'll remember your name. I'll give you some of my winnings. You know, I do that, and then they laugh and they're like, okay, you know, what's your name? And then they'll like ask me my name. And I've actually become friends with some of these gas station attendants. I am not kidding you, where we actually now kind of have conversations. I talk to them. They'll even say, yeah, yesterday was my birthday and I can wish them happy birthday. Or they'll say their sister just had a baby, you know, or something.
Oh my gosh, that's
yeah,
great.
it's really fun. And I have really long like connections now from the Starbucks baristas, if they've, you know, and the gas station attendants and lots of the different cashiers. So at the grocery stores. So I just like to like give smiles out in the world. You know, when I was drinking, I was very like, oh gosh, I'm buying wine, and they probably know I bought wine yesterday, and I bet they're judging me. And I was not like happy and smiley and wanting to meet people and ask questions. So yeah, I guess I'm living lit. So I want to have other people live lit.
You're spreading your lit around. I love it.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Let's sprinkle our litness around.
Yeah. Well, and smiling actually pours feel good chemicals in your brain. You know, it is like, even if you're faking it, like I always say, you can just stick a pencil in your teeth.
Oh my God.
The act of raising your cheek signals to your brain a smile, and it pours in those good, feel good chemicals in your brain. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. And I think,
So,
you're right, 'cause
and
I
then-
remember, you know, the Eat, Pray, Love book and movie. One of her meditations was you just sit and smile. The one where she's in Bali. That was it. She goes, you just sit and smile. And so that's kind of the same. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Especially if I'm driving and I feel like my mood's going south, I'll just sort of smile or stick a pen in my knee.
I love the pen there too. We're gonna look darky. We're looking
Yeah.
darky if you watch the video.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for sharing that and spreading your beautiful light to the world. Because if you smile and then they smile, then more feel good chemicals are going into other people's brains and everyone feels better. So that's so beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for listening today. We appreciate our listeners so much. And remember to do something today to feel lit. Maybe be like Ruby and go around and smile at your barista today. Thanks so much for listening to the Sober and Lit podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps get the word out.
And remember, do something today to help you feel lit.
See you next week.